And apparently you are podcasting like everyone else.
I left Mark and Brian in 2012. My wife and I started doing a podcast. We've always had a rather fun banter about ourselves, and I thought that might be entertaining on the show. And we don't do it for profit. I did not involve myself in commercials for podcasts because it didn't make it. It pissed me off actually because they step in and they go, "You do commercials on your show. We'll provide the commercials and you do them, and we'll take 50%." And I was like, "No, you won't. I've never heard of that. That's ridiculous." So I just don't make any money. I do it because I love talking into a mic and chatting with people like you and having a good time. So it's just for fun. We started out doing it 5 days a week. And then over time, I started doing a little bit of acting and I pulled back to once a week, but I enjoy it. It's for me. I do it for me because while I don't miss the grind of doing everyday radio, because it is a grind, 8 to 10 hours, some longer, some shorter. I don't miss that, but I will never, ever get over the desire to put on a set of headphones and talk into a mic.
Yeah.
Well, Lynda sounds like she likes it too. And please tell her, I love her voice. There's something about her voice that's just so, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just like it. It strikes a chord with me.
She is a Southern gal. And she's never changed. She's lived in California for 27 years, 30, whatever it is. She's never changed. She is exactly who she is. And I did want to capture that because we are rude with each other. And the crowd seems to get a kick out of that. And she's grown quite a bit. She was at the beginning, she was terrified to do it. And one night I went up and I would go up because she would go to bed before me. And I went up to kiss her goodnight. And I would go down and watch whatever and then come to bed. And she was crying. And this was before the podcast. And she was in hysterics. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "People on Twitter are really being mean to me. I have no business. I'm not Brian. I'm not this. I'm not that." And I said, "Okay, look, first of all, I don't know why you're on Twitter. They're the rudest, meanest people, social media. They do and say things just to get a rise out of you. That's what they want. They want you to respond." I said, "Let me tell you something. I didn't ask you to do this podcast because you're a great radio person. I didn't ask you to do this because you're hysterical. I asked you to do it because you're my wife. And nobody can talk to me the way you do. Do that. That's what I want." And that seemed to calm her. And she's done great. I mean, she has her little things that she does each week when we do the podcast. And she did it for me. That's the most endearing thing. I was leaving and I still wanted to talk into a mic, but I'm like you guys, I got to have somebody to talk to. And she did it for me. And so I immediately just calmed her down saying, "Nobody's asking you to be those people. I'm asking you to be you. You do that and you'll be fine." The only time I get pissed at her in the middle of a show is when she's got her face glued to that chat room we have, and she's looking to see what people say, and she's not even listening to me. So I'll wave my hand. But yeah, we do it because we enjoy it. We have a good time with it, and we have a very faithful group of people that really enjoy. We get this. As I said, we don't do commercials. So when was this? This might have been 13 or 14. We opened a store, and we opened it in November so that we could sell T-shirts and coffee mugs and some like a shot glass, these things to make a little money to support the podcast, to pay for the podcast. We put that out there, and we were the thing. We would go up after every show, and I was the one that typed out the labels and weighed them to get the postage on them. Lynda was the one that filled the order into the package, sealed it. And so we were working because it was so successful. We were working a full 10-hour day. This is right before Christmas, a 10-hour day filling packages to get. And I told everybody on the podcast, I said, "Listen, I am going to gouge you. I am going to sell you a t-shirt that is not worth more than $1.50. And you're going to pay $35 to get it. And I'm telling you to your face, I'm taking advantage. I want your money, and I'm going to give you a shitty t-shirt for that money. And I was honest. And we are still paying for the podcast off of that money. We eventually had to shut the store down because it was taking over our life. But that's these people. They heard me say, we're paying for the podcast with your money. Help us out. I've never liked, I know a lot of podcasts take donations. Give us money. Just give it to us. I wanted to give them something. And I decided to give them shitty t-shirts.